Hi, we are Team 11. This presentation examines the Boeing 737 MAX crisis, where two crashes in 2018 to 2019 claimed 346 lives and led to a global grounding. Our analysis highlights how earlier grounding, independent oversight, and clear disclosure could have prevented this.
In aviation history, grounding an entire fleet is rare, but the Boeing 737 MAX crash had a significant industry impact. This report reviews the key events leading to the suspension of all flights. On October 29, 2018, a Boeing 737 MAX crashed in Indonesia, leaving no survivors. Lion Air Flight 610 plugged into the Java Sea 13 minutes after takeoff. This was the first of two tragic incidents that raised a serious question about the safety of the model. Boeing 737 MAX was introduced in May 2017, and it was equipped with a new software feature called MCAS. The system was designed to automatically lower the aircraft nose if sensor indicated a potential stall. Boeing did not include this feature in the flight's cruise documentation, so the pilots were unaware of it. As a result, they could not respond when the system rapidly pushed the nose down, leading to the accident. On March 10, 2019, the second crash involving the 737 MAX occurred in Ethiopia, resulting in a death of 157 people. At 8:30 a.m., Ethiopian airline flights 302 took off from Addis Ababa. The aircraft, a Boeing 737 MAX 8, manufactured in October 2018, disappeared from radar 6 minutes after departure. It impacted the ground at nearly 700 miles per hour, and as in the Lion Air crash, a malfunction of the MCAS system was identified as a key factor contributing to the fatal incident. In both fatal crashes, MCAS relied on a single faulty sensor causing repeated nose-down commands even though the aircraft was not in a stall. This strategy marked a key moment that influenced aviation regulators worldwide. For both passengers and airlines, the two crashes opened new discussion about the safety and trust in the modern aircraft technology. After the global grounding of the 737 MAX, question about what really caused the accident became even more frequent.
At first glance, the Boeing 737 MAX crisis looks like a technical failure. But in safety critical industries, disasters rarely happen because of technology alone. This crisis was the result of deeper organizational failures that allowed a technical issue to turn into a tragedy. First, there was an ethical failure. Pilots were not fully informed about how the MCAS system worked. Second, there was a governance failure. Safety oversight was weakened by strong commercial pressures. Third, there was a leadership failure. After the first crash, warning signs were treated as isolated events rather than signals of a wider problem. The organization failed to escalate risk and failed to learn when it mattered most. Together, these failures show that this was not just a software problem. It was an organizational crisis shaped by ethical choices, weak governance, and weak leadership decisions under pressure. I will now explain our analysis on why the crisis escalated instead of being contained. After the first crash, signals that should have triggered precaution were absorbed into routine operations. The event was treated as an exception, not as evidence of a deeper systemic problem. At the same time, commercial pressure increasingly shaped decision making. When safety decisions are filtered through business targets, ethical judgment gets weakened. From an ethical leadership perspective, this is where the breakdown becomes clear. In high risk environments like aviation, leaders are expected to act under uncertainty, not wait for certainty that only arrives after harm occurs. Waiting for more data when lives are at stake was not being neutral, rather an ethical choice. The real failure was not the accident itself, but Boeing's refusal to learn from it. After Lion Air, warnings were clear, yet ignored, allowing this crisis to escalate further. Failure is not the catastrophe, failing to learn from the failure is. These ethical and organizational lapses shaped Boeing's flawed response and communication.
In high-risk industries like aviation, crisis management is mainly about leadership. It is not only a reaction after something goes wrong. Research shows 5 key principles: being prepared, communicating clearly and early, taking responsibility, putting safety before money, and learning from the crisis. These principles guide the analysis of the 737 MAX case. The 737 MAX accidents became a global crisis because several factors happened together. There was loss of life in a safety-critical industry. The accidents happened more than once, which suggested a system problem. At the same time, regulators and media focused strongly on the case. As a result, trust was lost, and the issue became an organizational crisis, not just a technical one. The organizational response made the crisis worse. Responsibility was taken too late, and early communication focused on pilot or operational error. The aircraft was grounded only after regulators acted, not by the company first. Safety decisions were influenced by commercial pressure, and communication was too technical and defensive. This reduced trust and damaged credibility. Crisis management research suggests a better response was possible. The company should have grounded the aircraft immediately and shown clear leadership from the CEO. Communication should have been open, simple, and focused on safety risks. Working closely with regulators and pilots would have helped rebuild trust. For organizations like Boeing, trust is rebuilt through actions, not words.
We will assess Boeing crisis communication using the STOP framework: strategy, tactics, organization, and people. Starting with the strategy, Boeing didn't send a clear safety first message at the start of the crisis. Early communication focused on the technical detail instead of the human impact, creating the impression that reputation mattered more than responsibility. From a tactics perspective, Boeing responded too slowly. Best practice in crisis communication values speed over completeness. Early acknowledgement helped limit speculation and missing information. In terms of organization, messages from leaders, engineers, and regulators weren't aligned. This reduced credibility and showed a lack of control. Finally, under people, leadership visibility and empathy were weak. Communication with victims' families felt formal and impersonal, especially at the beginning. When we compare Boeing response to crisis communication best practice, the difference is clear. Crisis communication best practice focuses on early acknowledgement, empathy before explanation, and consistent leadership messaging. These principles are designed to maintain trust and narrative control during uncertainty. Boeing's approach didn't meet these standards, and the result was a rapid loss of narrative control. Delays and silence create a space for speculation, missing information, and reputational escalation. A simple holding statement, visible leadership, and human-centered communication aligned with the STOP framework could have reduced uncertainty and stabilized trust much earlier in the crisis.
Boeing lacked advanced crisis management planning for a plane down scenario and failed to prevent a repeat tragic event. The aircraft should have been voluntarily grounded until an investigation confirmed the root cause. Concurrently, after any major incident, a thorough investigation, corrective action, and enhanced pilot training should occur. In safety critical systems, transparency and training are core safety controls. Proactive crisis communication and decisive safety measures are essential. Safety authority must be separated from commercial pressure. These decisions involve trade-offs. Early grounding would have caused short-term financial and reputational damage. However, delaying action resulted in far greater consequences: a second crash, global grounding, and lasting damage to credibility. Boeing did not have a procedure in place to stop operations or challenge stockholder pressure. The aircrafter was only grounded after regulators stepped in. Prevention starts with structure. Engineer and safety teams must have safe, protected ways to raise concerns and challenge existing assumptions. Training and transparency are equally important. Investigations prove that pilots were assumed to react in ways that were unrealistic. Clear system information and proper simulator training should be basic safety requirements. High-risk organizations must treat one serious incident as enough. A single crash should trigger immediate investigation and corrective action before another tragedy occurs. When values like safety and integrity are built into everyday decisions, crises are caught early instead of repeated. Boeing did issue a statement after the crash, but it did not effectively control the narrative in the early hours of the crisis. Boeing should instead use the Krebs framework as outlined in this slide.
The 737 MAX crisis was a leadership failure. Warning signs after the first crash were ignored, and delays in a safety-critical system turned a preventable issue into disaster. The lesson: in high-risk industries, silence and inaction amplify danger. Crises define organizations by how they respond and learn. Thank you.